welcome back to Beyond the Norm podcast. And today's very special guest is the fabulous Katrina Carroll, known to us as Vintage Irish Cat, or also her fabulous secondhand and vintage clothing, pre-loved by Shay and Joe. She speaks of her transition from a beautician to now a business owner and all she has around her secondhand business, in particular her clothes now, and also what she has done and what we would have known her and loved her for initially, whereas the work she did in her own house in terms of reuse, recycle. She has an amazing eye and her home has been photographed in international magazines. She keeps us laughing, dancing, and cracking up daily with her realness, her honesty, and just her warm, kind heart. I have never seen someone to take so much care of other people's things and turn them into such treasure, but also how she tells the story of the owners of some of the clothes she has and some of the really, really emotional scenes, even in 2025, where she has shared these beautiful wardrobes of these people and she brings their story alive through their clothes. And that's really what she's about. And it is always secondhand is not second best. And how she tells that story, it is a barrel of laughs. We have a bit of crack. We probably forget we're being on a podcast. And she's actually in her own shop when she's recording this, and it was recorded a few weeks back, and she is a gem of a guest to have, and I'm really, really grateful for her time, but also her love and support. She has been a huge backer of my Beyond the Norm business and has shared many times any of my meditations, and she's also come to my retreats and everything. So this is a chance for a bit of gratitude back to Kat. It's not often she does these interviews, so I consider myself very privileged that she took the time to do this on a busy day with two small kids and a business. She's an amazing soul. I really hope you enjoy it. Take a walk, take us on a journey this summer, and let us both know what you think. I will share her details in the show notes. Enjoy the episode. Thank you.
True. Yes.
And this is how we have the amazing, I want to call you Vintage Irish Cat, but I know we're just going to call you Cat for the purpose of this. She felt very left out with my microphone, so she's after grabbing her steamer, which is a lovely steamer. I want a steamer. I had to use a steamer on the gorgeous sheepskin jacket that you gave me, and oh my God, the steamer just did such a job of vintage clothes.
Lost without it.
Oh my God.
Because some of it I can't clean, like vintage blazers and stuff, so because I don't want it to lose its like structure and shape. So I steamed about 15 of them last night. It comes out a treat,
Well, you have the maiden touch with secondhand clothes. I must say, I've never seen a woman to turn, because I know from the things I've given you and how you've made them look. So firstly, warm welcome onto the Beyond the Norm podcast, Kat.
Thank you so much. I'm so honoured. I feel so special.
Oh, well, it's the other way around. Like when I think back of when I got this apartment first and I used to follow you and how you were decorating your own home around the same time.
I only popped that with you like a few months ago.
That was the same person.
That girl is so lucky. She can see peg bull towers from her window, and always stuck in my mind. And then I was like, where did she disappear to? Because that happens a lot with interior.
But that's because I just need you for that period of time. Yeah, but it's funny because there was a few people like you that I didn't see because of the way the algorithms went for a few years. And then you appeared in my life around the clothes. And then it was probably in the last 16, 18 months where I was, like using my mom's clothes.
Yes.
And like how that real thought. And it's so funny now because the work I do is all around endings and transformations and how, and in particular, and I'll get to the point, that really the gifting of clothes to somebody like you who cares for them and their story, and how we saw you cry last week as you shared Mary's
Oh God,
clothes.
I get too emotional.
No, there's no such
I
thing.
kind of
It's a
get
beautiful
upset
honoring.
myself, because
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh God, Kat, we should pull it together, like, you know. Uh, but it's when I meet the relatives of these people, and
Yeah.
they love them so much. These
Yeah.
people were really loved, but Mary loved her clothes, and I
And
know that feeling because I love my clothes. Like
but
I love my wardrobe of clothes. So
yeah, it's
it's
so precious.
yeah,
But Kat, you have a gift on how you tell that story, right? And you honor that because we could all leave a bag at a charity shop. And sometimes, charity shops now are so overwhelmed with what they
yeah,
get that they
yeah.
can't get attached, I'd say, to the outcome. Whereas when either you get, I remember like even maybe you get suitcases of the most gorgeous
Oh
stuff,
yeah, yeah.
like the most amazing stuff. But Mary is a story that is really going to stand out because we saw, but also that full circle moment about your mom that she had skirts belong to where your mother used to work.
Crazy. But
Yeah.
that's always for me signs from the universe telling me, yeah, you are doing what you're meant to do. And
Very much.
yeah, so the universe always there
Looks
help.
after and that's the perfect place to there will be people because I always go, oh, do you not know Vintage Irish Cat? Like, yeah, she's a pal. So please because this is an international podcast, so I'll have there's probably like
Hello,
three people in
international.
Germany that I used to work with that
Oh,
listen. Who are you, Kat? Introduce yourself to this
so
audience.
my name is Katrina Carroll. I am 34 years of age plus fat, which makes me, add a bit
Similar to me.
to that. Yeah, yeah.
You're
And
younger than me, though. You're younger than me. I know you are.
only a little teensy weensy bit.
Yeah.
And I own a vintage shop called Pre-Loved by Shay and Joe, and that is named after my parents because they were such a stylish, inspirational couple. When in the 70s, just me looking back at pictures, and then growing up with them in the 80s, they were so funky. And my dad always wore suits. My granddad always wore suits, and he
Wow.
always wore a hat. So they always had kind of pride in their clothes, I suppose.
Mm.
And then it wasn't until I was about maybe 15, 16 years of age where I really got conscious of my fashion and my
Mm.
style. And then throughout that time, through my late teens and early 20s, I really kind of lost myself as in following the crowd and
Yeah.
following
The fast
trends.
fashion. Yeah.
Yeah, and fast fashion wasn't huge back then, but it
No.
came on the scene, and I was like,
Yeah.
what is this world? Oh, I loved it, like absolutely devoured it. And I still have loads of pieces from back then
But the
because,
quality was much better back in ASOS when
yeah,
it
you
started as
know,
well. Yeah.
um, and I moved to London then, and no, actually, sorry, a major part where it changed me was I went traveling, and I went traveling for nearly a year, and that completely changed me. And because I had no money, like Norma, I never had money. It was I would go to work, which I hated. I hated working when I was traveling because all I wanted to do was have fun. So I'd go to this job that I hated, and he would never pay me on time. He'd pay me like, oh, I'll pay in a week's time. And I'm like, oh my God, my rent. Like, and that's the only reason why I was like working to pay my rent. And then the little bit I had over was just some drink, and
Yeah.
then I
That's
found
what we
thrift
did.
shops. Yeah. And then I found thrift shops over there, and I was like, oh, what is this? What is
What is this sorcery?
this? Like my dad was always loved charity shops. And I used to be like, oh God, what is he bringing home now? And I used to be like, oh Jesus,
The
what?
brick and bracks. I saw you
Yeah,
talk about that on your website, that
yeah,
like the
love,
car boot sales
yeah.
or yeah,
And we
he was
used
always
to Sailor Works, which I loved as a kid because there was loads of toys. So I was like, yes,
yeah.
toys. So
For
that was
nothing.
my,
50p.
yeah, yeah, not even that, like 10p, like, I was like, oh, and I remember we got like, that Mattel, you mightn't remember it, Mousetrap board
Oh,
game.
I do. I
Oh,
do.
and we found the
We
whole place,
never we never
nothing
had the
missing.
OG. Like we never had the OG versions of any of these. It would have been secondhand or a cousin had it or whatever. We never had
I
the brand
always
new one.
remember that, and we came home. I was up in a local school, and I was only delighted with myself. When you have them memories, and I'm just like, that's just joyous.
Mm.
Just absolute joy of the simple things in life. And as you get older, you realize that's just what life's all about. It's not about who has a big house.
Expensive.
No,
No.
it's not. It's not. It's not
No.
important, you know. So yeah, that's my waffling way through saying that. That's how I kind of got to my love of vintage, because I used to spend, when I got back from traveling, then I was obsessed. And my husband, which is probably his regret to this day, when I moved to London, he went, "Have you ever tried eBay?" And I went, "What's eBay?" And he went, "Oh, this like secondhand."
As she
Like,
still
well,
as she trades on it now.
yeah. And he went, "Why did I tell you about this? There was packages coming every week of vintage goods." And then I started selling on eBay. And he was like, "Well, at least you're selling and making a little
Yeah,
bit of
you're
money."
making money. Yeah,
And
yeah.
one of my little regrets that I didn't continue that over there, because I was like, "Oh God, I have to go to the post office." Like, oh, like, and there was a real kind of chore for me
Yeah, yeah.
then, because I was working full time and we just had a different lifestyle. You know yourself. Like,
Totally, totally. But the whole flea market thing was much bigger in England than it ever really was in Ireland as well. Like you were exposed
so
to like
there's vintage
proper like
fairs.
we see EastEnders and we see the the market and like and we obviously had like there's parts pockets. I know like Moore Street, you're
Yes.
like in Limerick we had Milk Market, but there was nothing like the way like where they would actually buy clothes. We didn't
Yes.
like
Yeah,
charity shops only really secondhand shops. I remember my brother went full blown secondhand for his confirmation.
that's amazing.
He was a bit of a dude,
I love
like,
that.
and I actually must dig out the photograph for you. And he had like a paisley waistcoat and paisley tie, and it was 89. Yeah, 89. Actually, him and I got my first confirmation. I got two confirmations because I'm beyond the norm and I'm extra special. But anyway, I actually got two confirmations. My first one was with him because he was sixth class and I was fifth class. Shane was a proper dude, but there was a very famous secondhand shop in Limerick called The Edge. Any of my Limerick listeners will appreciate
It's
it.
fantastic.
And
Oh
it's
my
still
God.
there, Kat. It's still
Wow,
there.
that's amazing.
And the most amazing, like they're gorgeous. You know the way you walk in and you get the smell of like leather and
Yeah.
just
I have to go there. I have to go.
yeah, it's so cool. But anyway, yeah, Shane, that was like, and everyone be like, "Oh, Shane, you're very dapper," and he loved all that. And yeah, I think it was probably the first and last time he was kind of cool, 'cause so you got to slag the older brother. But my mother was nearly a bit embarrassed that it looked like that we were like too poor that Shane couldn't afford
Yeah.
good confirmation outfit. But Shane was being a dude, like, and there
Yeah.
was that whole early 90s, like cranberries were just starting in Limerick, you can imagine. And it was those times
Yeah.
where like secondhand shoes, grunge, you had like Nirvana, you had Pearl Jam, like that. Like
Yeah.
Limerick is a music city. It's a sporting city, but it's a music city. Like
Yes.
needless to say, when like Dolores was at her height, so like that was such a thing, and it was such a vibe. So I was really blessed because my mother, and I know you've only seen like a tiny scrap of her, she was really super stylish. So I had the bell bottoms that she had. I had like the tops, the wedge shoes. Um,
Amazing.
the hair, it's probably now as my hair is only ever as long as it was then because then I went to East like 90s, like short, short, short.
Yes.
We had
I think,
those
oh,
crisis
cheers.
years, but it was such like the early 90s in Limerick is my memory of vintage where it was cool. And then, as you say, I definitely lost the way as well for years. Like Aware,
Yeah.
hello. I remember you and I talking about Aware, like those
I
years
love
where
anywhere.
Aware was just like you go in and buy a top for your Saturday night out, like for 15 euros, like
Yeah.
15 pounds,
I
pounds.
remember, and I still have
Yeah.
this bag. I bought a genuine leather bag in there. I was obsessed with it, and it was 45 euro,
Pounds
which was
probably. Or
yeah.
yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"That's a lot."
That
And
was a lot.
I stood there, and I was like, "What's genuine leather? Genuine leather? Where would you get
Genuine leather. Where would you
genuine
get?
leather?"
But
And
like that was really expensive in Aware. Like you didn't go in and
so
spend
expensive,
45 and you
but
probably got it on sale even.
you know what we have to remember? Somebody reminded me of this. She found a Miss Selvidge top from the 1994, right? And it was brand new with tags. And guess the price on that.
Go
So
on.
people, she put it up on a post and she went, "Everybody guess." And people were saying 450, like 249. And she was like, £25. And
Pounds.
she said, the only thing that's getting cheaper in the economy is clothes. And that says it all, doesn't it? Because
Doesn't it?
we just
We've
have
no
lost the value of clothes. We really
100%.
and
It really has.
And even my friends, some of my friends, like one of my friends, we were just having a conversation. I was driving, and she was like, "Oh, I got this big haul from Sheena," and I went, "Ah, stop." I said, "Don't be buying from there, please." She went, "I can't fuck off you with your sustainability," and that's exactly what she said to me. Right? I said,
And you're
"Fuck
like,
off you,"
oh,
like, right, and there's just some of them that just won't have any of me, any of our bit, and
no,
they love
and
me, and they love what
also,
I
yeah,
do. But they're
yeah.
like, I need cheap and cheerful. Like, but I'm like, no, you don't. Like, so there's just no talking to people, and it's just not for them. Like,
No, and it is the Mel Robbins, right? Let them, because they'll find
yeah,
their way. And like I definitely see it in me that now being self-employed, like I was so fortunate, where I brought my friend Sheena as her Christmas gift to Kat's
oh yeah, that was
gorgeous.
a lovely few hours.
It was, but that's what you're not selling clothes anymore. You're selling nostalgia. You're selling a moment in time for friends to
Yeah,
come to your cabin, and there is so much more. And it's how, I suppose, that period of time where you started on your home, and now we've seen you evolve into,
yeah,
this idea. And I suppose talk us through this evolution, because you've obviously become a mom.
yeah,
When you were in the middle of doing the house, like you would have had Bonnie, and like
yeah,
you had had the two girls. And so this, from the London to moving home and where you are now, talk us through, because people are fascinated with the story and how you have evolved, because you didn't just spring up overnight. There's no such thing
yeah.
as overnight success that people talk about. It's all a journey. Tell us a little bit
Well, I
about your
remember,
journey.
I remember I started Instagram in London, and I would just take pictures of like the buildings in London, like, and I remember taking this picture of in the city, and there was an old church, but then a big modern skyscraper. I can't even remember the name of it. And I was like, that's a great picture. Like in my head, I was
The
like,
notions, the
yeah,
notions.
I was
We were
like,
so notiony about
that is
Instagram.
fucking, I tell you, that is art. What I've
Old
just
and
taken.
new.
Like I was
Old and new.
delighted with myself, yeah. And then I tried to take like arty pictures, and then you find some accounts like, and I remember one of the first accounts I found was I came across a home account, and I was like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna have my house eventually. Now it took about 3 or 4 years, but still, you have all these mood boards. And when I first bought, luckily enough, we bought our house, um, she's in 2016, and uh shabby chic was very much like out there, like, and there was some of my rooms, and again, you can lose yourself on Instagram by getting inspired with people, but kind of losing your way as well a bit. Do you know what I mean? In regards to your home. And I felt like that happened to me a little bit. Like I always wanted a old style country cottage kitchen, with the Belfast sink, and the old bread bin, and I got all that, and I wanted a stable door. Oh, I got my stable door, but I always wanted a smeg fridge. Yeah, I got my smeg fridge. And all this thing you always dream of, and then it happens, and then you kind of get in the mindset, oh, but I want this. Oh, look at her on the internet, and you have to get yourself out of that mindset, because there was a time when you didn't have that house cat, and you didn't have any of that,
But
and
it's selling the not enoughness as well
yeah,
sometimes. So
yeah,
it's like, when you get to, and like I remember when I bid on this place, and it was a really complex sale. It was 9 months. I often say you'd have a baby
oh
quicker.
God,
And it was a really complex sale, and my mother was dying at the time, as was this owner's mother's dying. But I was caring for my mother. This man used, anyway, long story short, I used to stand at the gate, because it was near where I lived,
yeah,
renting. And I used to look up at it and go, wow, what's it going to be like to be in it? And I used to do this visualization of being in it
yeah,
and that moment. And I don't think I've shared it on the podcast before, but I walked in, and one of my Reiki guys had said, like, when you walk in, the angels are going to sing Hallelujah. And he was like, they're just so happy that you're going to step into your own home.
yes,
And the
yeah,
day I got, and it was a manky, 35 years before I had owned it. It was always a rented accommodation, so it stank of fags
yeah,
and
in
old
bits.
carpet, and like there was probably mice living in the couch. Like, it was an absolute kip. And I sat on the couch, and the rainbows came out over the towers,
Oh
and I
my,
cried. Oh, actually, I have a photograph. It's over Hoth,
oh my gosh,
and I remember crying,
yeah, of
going,
course,
"This is it! Like, this was me standing outside the gate, like looking up, going, okay, here's it."
yeah,
and all of a sudden, then when we get it, it's next.
Yeah.
You know, like it was like, oh, I need this, and then I need that, and na na na
Yeah.
na. But it was weird for me because I had to pause a lot of it because my mother was dying, so I moved home and cared for her, so I didn't really get back here properly until after she died.
Yeah.
And that now I had had the painter and I had done the few bits and whatever. But I remember watching you and your ability like to paint a floor or
No,
paint a
like my
fucking
gift to
like
me
paint
was
a
like
ceiling.
the biggest cowboy I should have been
But
called.
I loved that. But your cowboy, like your sitting room, like, and I've been in Kat's sitting room, like it's absolutely fab. It is as it looks, like, and the fact that you can, I love that you can change your albums and your pictures, and like you
Yeah.
like not because you'd be like me, you get bored and
Yeah.
you want to do
Yeah.
something different. Um, you were so brave, and I was the so opposite of brave because I am
Yeah.
so fucking useless. Like, you know the way like you get excited with like a power tool, I just get like, oh fuck, I'm gonna slice off a finger here. Like I probably am dyspraxic. Like I am a fucking disaster.
But see,
Um,
it's so funny though, because when I was doing this, because I was a little bit like, oh, what will people think of me at first? Because stories had only began, this whole video type thing, and because I was on maternity leave with Bonnie, she'd be sitting in the little rocker beside me, and then I'd be like this with it. Oh God, like I look back and I'm like,
the
what were we?
wallpaper in the bathroom, but like you
Yeah,
did
like
some really cool projects though, but like we were invested in the outcome with you every
yeah,
single time. Like I haven't been into your bathroom, but I can nearly tell you what the wallpaper is because I was so invested in that story. And actually I work with so many entrepreneurs now who are like telling a story, your authenticity, Kat, to bring us through all the like fuck ups. Like we love them as much as when it worked out, because when it didn't work out, like we were invested with you as
yeah,
well. Like when the wallpaper mightn't work out, and when you were doing the girls' rooms, there was
yeah,
all of that. Like
yeah.
you brought me so much joy in a time of grief as well, can I tell you?
Oh,
Like
that's so
because
lovely.
it was such an amazing thing to get excited about when you've had death in the family that you're like, oh, I can make this my own. Granted, I was working in tech then back when I had money, and I just
Yeah,
like I sourced so many problems. Like the one or two projects I did do, Kat, like I'd love to show you them now, how bad they subsequently turned out. Like I never, you were also reminding me, I never did IKEA. It was great to follow you because I was like, no, I'm
yeah,
doing secondhand. And I
yes,
just did, there was an amazing, it was a father daughter. I think you might know them, Betty's Lounge in Belfast.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I got all my like Danish furniture. Like I'm on
They have some incredible pieces. Like
yeah, she's amazing. And they come
all over.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, they have some.
The dad's name was Sam Beckett. His
Oh
actual
wow!
name.
Oh my
So
God!
I bought pieces off him first, and then I like bought off the daughter. And like back then, you were unfortunately you were driving. It was your fault. You were driving up the cost of 70s stuff. It was all your fault. And like the stuff I got initially, I have a Formica table. I'm actually recording this on a Formica table. Actually, it was
Oh,
it was made by handicapped men in the 70s in England.
holy! Oh my God!
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning, and it's too small to be my kitchen table, so now I have it as my desk. But I'm never getting rid of it because I just
No,
love it.
they like, can't get rid of that because
But
it's so special.
that's, I think there's something around that idea that um, influencers, and I know you wouldn't call yourself because you're a business owner now,
Yeah,
but that level of influence in a really, really profoundly good way on how I
yeah,
really thought about how sustainable when I was buying stuff that I didn't just want to buy an IKEA thing that fell apart. And I lived in so many apartments before that, the classic Dublin country girl who lives in Dublin and you have to move every 2 years because just the nature of it, like we have to move on now. And you're like IKEAing the shit out of it and they just fall apart, right?
yeah,
So I just knew, and thankfully I had the budget. But to be honest, the budget, it's much more sustainable. All the pieces I have, and then I got really notiony then, and I like got my kitchen table from Denmark imported. Yeah. And like every now and again, my brother would be here going, "Is the screw loose in that?" No, and I'm like, "Mm-hmm, yeah, yeah." I just tighten it here with my hands because can't use a screwdriver because I'm useless. But that idea that like our homes, like when you do a house, as you know, there's so much crap
oh
like
my God!
that comes with doing up a house. Like you feel so bad about the environment when you're doing up a house because
But
like
it's
it's
so But
but
when we got this house, we had to gut it. So all that money went into gutting it, and it looked like we still did nothing because we needed new windows, new back door. We needed replastered, all the electrics done, and then you're like, that's a few grand, like a proper good few grand. You're like, oh, I've nothing now. And I loved that. This is when Dublin Flea was down on Cork Street, off Cork Street, and it was fantastic because I got so much stuff there, so much stuff, and I met so many old vintage traders, over the years, and still vintage shops that I follow now. I was their main customer, and then they're like,
okay.
well, feck her anyway, she's not to get in the vintage shop herself.
But also she's only doing the clothes now. But you are a great woman for finding a skip. Let's talk about the skips. You have that, your kitchen table. Your
Yeah,
poor
like,
husband. Your poor husband.
I tell you, and this before I drove. So I'm randomly walking down the road with my two girls, and I'm like, girls, stop it. I said, there's chairs in this skip. There's chairs in this skip. And they're like, Mammy, we have kitchen chairs. And I'm like, I'll sell them. And I was like, why isn't your father answering? Why isn't he? And then he answered. I was like, Adam, I'm in Cullen Village. And he went, we have kitchen chairs, Kat. And I'm like, we need these ones, okay? You need to get around here now. So luckily, he was working from home that day, and he bombed it around. And I went, put them in the boot immediately. There was 6 of them. If I had room for the other 2, I would have. But holy God, they were like new. And I just went, I cannot
Unbelievable.
believe I found these rotten like 70s like I'm like, oh, it was,
Unbelievable.
yeah.
But it's your eye, right? So, and it's how this is translated. So if you were on mat leave, what job did you leave then to create Pre-Loved by Shay and Joe? What and
So
where did that all
I was a laser, and I'm not going to say skin specialist because I stopped doing skin when I in my 20s really, and then got more into laser. But I managed in a skin clinic, and I did it 3 days a week. But it gradually just sucked the life out of me. Like I just was going in there, and um, when you don't have a passion for your job anymore, it's torturous. Like it's really like you're sitting there and you're just waiting. You're just counting down the time until you can leg it out of there. And I just went, this is an injustice to me and to the people I work for, because I taught an awful lot of them, and they always looked after me over the years. And I started to do this. I started to do research, going wholesalers, vintage wholesalers, start looking up places. And then I found a place. I wasn't really happy with it. I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I found one I'm still using today. And I did a little video handpick, because with that job I had saved up a bit of money to, like what everyone says, you have to spend money to make money. Um, and for the first few years I spent too much money and didn't make enough money, because I was like, oh, I love this top. Oh, I love that. Okay, please stop. Business mind, come on, stop. So you learn a few lessons out there, but then it just started kind of kicking off. Thankfully, I was so lucky to have my Vintage Irish Cat platform. Actually, before I decided to do my vintage shop, I made another page for my outfits of the day to show people you can wear secondhand, and this is the way I style it. And I just did photos. And then when COVID came, I did a hashtag going get up and get dressed, because people were like, oh,
just
loungewear.
wearing their, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and I was
Yeah.
like, get up and get dressed. And so I did that for a week, and then people came in on it and started showing their pictures, and I loved that. That was great. Like I got so much fun out of that. And then I obviously did my research on wholesalers, got one. And I decided to like turn that into a shop page, which I did, because I had a few followers from Vintage Irish Cat on that. And then it just grew and grew. And then just one of my videos that I got a suitcase of original 70s, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
told
remember
people
that
about
one.
her story, and that blew up. And then my page blew up then. So I was like, I need to get a website. So you start investing, and I had to tell my job then. I was like, oh, I'm not coming back. Like, and they're like, what? No. And I was like, no, this is the path I want. And it was honestly the best decision I ever made. And I remember going, well, what, like, it's scary. It's very scary. Like, and I hate when people say to somebody, what, just give it, just go for it. And I'm like, it's easier
No,
said than done. You can't,
massive.
because luckily I have my husband who has a good job that he's in years, and it's secure. Whereas I wouldn't have been able to do that. There's no point in me saying, "Oh, look, I'd
And
have
this
my
is our
mortgage
privilege. I interviewed somebody yesterday, and it's like these are our privileges that we
so
have, like that you had the money saved, you've had them working,
yeah,
that you had, and people talk about money, I need more money. I'm like, no, what money brings us security, it brings us freedom.
yeah.
That's what we truly want. So, and it's also dispelling the myth that it's easy to quit your job and start a business.
So when people
Um,
say that, I'm like,
mm,
it's some of these podcast people that are like following your dreams. Like, listen, lad, if it was as easy as that, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Everyone will
if
be doing it.
yeah, like I always
Mm.
say to people, because I do get people in my inbox going, Kat, I really want to set this up, and I'm like, stay in your job, do it at the side hustle, okay? See how it goes, and then progress after a few months going, well, look, I'm actually earning a few quid here. I think I can give this up.
If
Like,
I'm doing it full time, yeah. And I
yeah,
think that it's that cusp, and that's where I love working with people. That's where I
yes,
move into that, like, okay, you've proved that that this could work, and now
yes,
your
you
heart
need that
is,
push. Yeah,
yeah. And it's what you said earlier. It's like when you find those moments of Mary's clothes or those suitcases
uh,
of like,
yeah,
oh, this is what I'm meant to be doing,
yeah,
and I suppose you're spiritual like me in that sense of like there we are here for a bigger purpose, but we're also really practical, and we also need to pay the bills, and the girls want to go to classes, and it's
yeah.
expensive to live
Norma,
in
sometimes
Europe.
like I'm coming in to sell a few dresses to pay for Bunny's dance classes, like because they're super expensive. Like,
Everything is so expensive. And you've two small girls who
yeah,
love their dancing and love all their different bits,
yeah,
and that's extra money on top of just the monthly bills.
yeah. And it's
You're
like
making
not
that work.
tutor twice a week for her dyslexia, and then she does a dyslexia workshop. It's so much money. Like it's
Or
so.
sorry, what's your other daughter got it? Her sexy workshop.
Oh, yeah, God, shit. Tulsa was nearly knocking on my door. I was just when the teacher called me, she's like, "I just wanted to show you up on your row." Oh my God. And my sister went to a sex shop and she had fun. Oh my sweet God. I said, and the teacher, obviously, because a lot of the teachers know Nancy's situation with her dyslexia. So I was just like, I said, it's a workshop. Jesus, I said,
Not a
no.
sex shop. Oh, out of the mouth of babes, those girls will definitely keep you on your toes. And
Telling you.
Kat, talk to me now in that, okay, the business it's over its first few years, but you still have that like, you gotta sell the stock that you have, and you
Yes.
gotta show up online,
Yeah.
and the days that you don't want to and the days that you're like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Sometimes look, you'll see the days I'm not really on form, I'll just dress the mannequin and I'll put stuff on the mannequin because it is. When I did Mary's drop the other day, I can't even tell you how exhausted I was. I was drained because you're trying on this person's clothes who she loved so much, like, and you really want to give it the justice, and you know,
But it's energetic work, right? And this is the
oh yeah,
energy of what you do. You're a
yeah,
part
like it's
you're a part of
constantly
their
like,
endings for the family as well, are looking at it that as
oh
well,
yeah,
and wondering. And so it's a classic coaching question I'm going to ask you.
yes.
How do you resource yourself and mind yourself? Busy mom of two, entrepreneur. She's a lot going on, and your parents are very much alive as well, and you family around
Yes.
you and stuff. So what are your go-tos to care for you, Kat? And it's okay to say it's not always easy.
Yeah, no, it's funny though because the impression people get of you, like on the outside, is like you must be so organized, blah blah. I'm the worst organized person. I forget everything. Like, thank God my close friends know me by now. Like one of my close friends is like, Kat, I'm not going to text you about the party. I'm going to text Adam, okay? Because I won't know. I won't have a clue. I won't remember it. I won't remember anything. And then there's people that get pissed off at me, like, especially some followers, like they're like, do you not remember I asked you to? And I went, oh my God, I'm
But
so.
sorry, the apps are a disaster to keep on top of that anyway, because you lose
I
messages
just,
anyway. That's
yeah.
the
And
systems aren't
even,
always set up for people like you and I that might actually forget because of
I'm dead.
perimenopause, menopause, as well as just who we are, right?
Well,
It's hard.
I think the past few months, I have to say, I'd say the past 6 months, I've started to invest in myself. So I invested in a personal trainer. It's not fucking cheap, but I'm like, she has consistently made me go to the gym from last September twice a week till now. That is a miracle in itself. I swear to God. Every morning, I go Tuesday and Friday mornings. This morning, I my alarm went off at 5:30, and the fucking I went, this little fucking bitch I have to go to now. I can't. Oh, the thoughts of coming to this gym, and I hate it. And she says to me this morning,
So good.
"No, you're not feeling this because you're not talking." I said, "No, I'm not feeling it." And she's just almost. She's just like, "Come on, push
But
it, push it." I'm like,
but you can use your humor and like Kat, well, I think the morning that we went to see you put up like one of your like lifters. I was like, look at the sculpted abs on her, and she's not even showing them. Like,
"No."
not that you would, but it's that hard, graft that you've been doing. Talk to me about the old compassion then for yourself, Kat, when it all goes to shit. Are you
Look,
hard on yourself like most Irish women that
I
we
am a
seem to
bit
be?
like I'm terrible. I feel everything. Like I I'm a like
Em
I'm an
Empath.
empath.
You are
Yeah,
an
jeez,
empath,
I'm
yeah.
desperate. Like, and I feel my eldest daughter is the exact same, and I try to tell her, I'm like, don't be worrying, like speak up for yourself, like But I was the exact same as her as a child. I don't want to offend people. I don't want to say anything, like just
Yeah.
um
So it's that balance, I think, in our women in our 40s, and it's the work I love to do of that, like
yeah,
really, like how do we get to be ourselves? Are
yeah,
are aware of who we are, aware how being an empath is a lovely thing, but when it becomes really hard for us, what we need to do to regulate and care for ourselves. And I think being in entrepreneurship, that we are blessed that we're not in an environment that we have to be a certain
yeah,
in a box or
yes,
like, because that would, well,
100%.
I died inside for definitely the latter part of my career as well, that like, it's just so hard to be there. So
Yeah,
there is about this like kind of comfort in that, and the right people, even when we're in our humanness, are okay about it.
yeah.
The ones where we might have gotten offended as well if somebody forgot us in our 30s, whereas now it's like, look it, I get it. Like
Oh, listen, if
you know.
anybody forgets stuff, I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm the exact.
Yeah, same. Or as a guy said to me, I was late during the week. I was like, I'm running 10 minutes late. And he sent me back a text, and he was a coach, and he just said, breathe. That was
Yeah,
his reply. And I
and
was like,
that
you're just
love,
like, yeah, I was like, thank you, because I did breathe in that moment and say,
yeah.
okay, I don't want to kill myself to get to you. I will be there when I'm there.
But I
So it's, yeah,
for me anyway, I have most certainly made my um friendship circle smaller. I just want to be around the people who I feel good around. It's as simple as that. And um bad vibes I'm just not into anymore, or energy. I'm really, as I get into my 40s, I'm really more in tune with my own body. Like I know my hormones now. Like I um completely know when I'm just down that road where I'm not motivated at all. And it's down to my hormones, whatever way is up and down in it. I don't want to be online, and you'll see that. You'll see less of me. And then when I'm over my period, I'm like, hi, and people are like, oh, there she is.
but we got to do what we have to do
Yeah,
to, like, it's like, if I don't take a nap, I can't be present for my client in the afternoon.
yeah,
And I'm very blessed, I know, because I'm on my own, and I don't, even though, as I said on a podcast yesterday, I want to know pair. I do really want to know pair for just me. If you know of anyone going, not live in now, because I couldn't have that either. But yeah, that idea of like we got to do what sustains us to be able to show up on camera, or to be there for, like, when Mary's sister came with all those clothes, because you wanted to be present to hear her
yeah,
story and
yeah,
honor that. And there's a trade-off there, that we have to step back and care for ourselves, so then we can be in fully presence for the other person. Because if we're an empty container when this is a really delicate moment, like clothes and women, it's a story, there's
yeah.
something really beautiful. So, you haven't rebranded yourself just as that just yet, Kat, but as the marketeer, I'm going to tell you that you have the capacity to bring in being the counselor and therapist in those endings because,
Yeah,
like that's something that you really you have a lovely gift with of really, really honoring when you do receive their story. So you're not just somebody selling a secondhand dress. You are
yeah,
so much more, and it's
that's so
yeah,
lovely to hear.
yeah.
Because I just I always just want the story to get across to people that these people were really special and really special to someone. And this is why Mary's sister was like, I just don't want to give them to the charity shop. I just don't want that because she loved her clothes. Now, when I tell you that every single one of her suits were covered in
Her
the plastic
plastic
covers,
from the
yeah,
dry cleaners. Yeah.
and even with their hangers, she used to put a tissue on the hanger, like just
The
incredible,
care. Yeah. And
you
it
know.
is, it's that level that
And
you're bringing forth.
she said her sorry interrupting you there.
Not all.
Caroline told me that her sister's home, even up to about a month before she died, because she went into a home then at the end of her life, was immaculate, spotless. Nobody would come in and there'd be nothing out of place, like, you know. But she was one of these really, really hard working, single, independent women that just fucking did really well for herself
Yeah, and as you
and
say, the
loved her
clothes
life.
just the I loved as well what you said, which is very true for all of us. We change in sizes, and the
Oh,
sizes of these clothes will change because we're changing. And
yeah.
I can totally relate to that. I remember a cleaner. She was like, "It's not that again when I had tech money and I wasn't definitely buying secondhand clothes. She was like, it's not that you're untidy. You just have a lot of clothes, and you have a lot of clothes of different sizes." I was like, "You've obviously never lost and gained weight like I have."
Yeah, yeah,
Or that
yeah,
I'm keeping on that now because that's really good. But actually, right now, I'm in the phase of getting back into stuff that I really am like so happy I'm back into stuff because I
yeah,
lost some weight that it's just such a nice feeling because
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
part of feeling good. I love that idea that you did during COVID of like get up and get some
yeah.
clothes on and like feel good
Like
about
every
yourself.
single person, well, pretty much an awful lot of people have a wardrobe full of clothes that they bought and they love. Fucking wear it because I'm telling you now, you could be gone tomorrow. You could be gone
My mother was a
tomorrow,
devil
and
for it. My mother was a devil for it. Oh, I'll keep that now for the good things and like
no, clothes.
like even dressing somebody for their how to lay them out. Like I put her in her best stuff, do you know? And that idea that like yeah, you're like
Oh, hey girls, I'm just on a podcast,
they're
so
gonna come in and wave.
I'll be out in a
Hi,
sec.
Nancy.
Are you saying hi?
Come in and say hi.
Too shy.
Too shy.
Oh,
Oh,
nothing.
oh,
Hi.
hello there. How are you?
Good.
Had you a brilliant day in school?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's sunny time. What are you going to
Yeah.
do for the afternoon? Has Mum promised anything yet?
She's dancing practice,
Oh,
don't you? Yeah, for a competition tomorrow. Oh, first
oh my
competition ever.
God,
Oh,
Bonnie. That is
very
going to be
excited.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love the hair. I love
In
the
you go.
hair.
Yeah. I won't be long, okay?
See you, Bonnie.
Oh, Jesus.
But that's how it's like Mom is there. That's like that's for them. I'm sure that's a bit of a playground of coming out to your cabin and
Oh, yeah. They love dressing the mannequins. Love it. And sometimes they get it so right. I'm like, I didn't help them. What is going on?
I know. Well, it's obviously as my mother say, "Oh, didn't lick it. They didn't lick it off a stone.
Oh, yeah. She
They
didn't.
didn't lick it off stone." So, and we're coming towards the end of this now.
Yeah.
There's two things that I have outstanding. One of them is the haters, how you deal with them,
Oh, I
because
love that. Bring it
you
on.
are brilliant at that. And the thick skin, I suppose, that you've had to grow because of your profile. And you'll always get the one that will say,
Ash.
or the man or whatever.
Everyone.
Yeah. You tell us what your you have a ritual now for the haters.
Oh yes. So, to be honest, now I have to say as well, I've never had any. I have really lovely,
You do have
genuine.
an amazing
Yeah, I've
followers.
lovely
Yeah.
followers. Like
Yeah.
absolutely, just my people. Just lovely, lovely people. and to be the same people I'd be having the old chats in the DMs to, I've gotten terrible at getting back to DMs now because sometimes it's just overwhelming and I just
But
have to
again,
like,
blame the system. It's not you. It's not friendly to get
yeah,
back to people because you
it
lose
just
the.
gets
Yeah.
too much, like, but it is, no, it's a joy, and I don't get super nasty ones. It's just people having an opinion, and they're allowed. And I've
Yeah.
also come to realize as well, not everybody's going to like you, no matter what you do.
No.
Like, and
No.
and it's just that's the way it's going to be, and you just have to accept that. So yeah, I call these people out because I can guarantee you now, if they met me in real life, there's no way they'd come up and say that to me. They
No.
wouldn't. Like,
But it's when your dad, when Shay gets involved,
and
Shay goes kung fu on it. Like
oh
literally
yeah,
the last day he was
easy.
out with the kung fu. It's
Yeah.
and Kat's not saying she plays Lily Allen and it's the song "Fuck You" and she does the
Yeah.
dance. And it's yeah, yeah. Yeah. But then Shay every now and again it's either in
Yeah.
his your back
I'm
garden
like,
at home. He's brilliant.
they're slagging the clothes in my shop. He's like, come on, let's do it. Let's do
It's
it.
brilliant. It's brilliant. It's just one of those things. Finally, you are an honorary member now of the Beyond the Norm community in the most beautiful way that you are, beyond the norm. Have you any advice for anyone who would feel stuck in a job they feel quite unhappy in? And as you say, it's not an overnight thing. You kind of,
Yeah.
you touched on it earlier, this idea of just starting on the side now. Anything else that you would say as yeah, just some hope for what it's like when it does go your way, when lots of hard work to get there, I'm sure as well.
You will always notice that you will have regular customers or regular clients who truly believe in what you do and respect you and love what you do, and they will always support you. And somebody gave me that advice when I first started. You'll always have regular customers who love you and love supporting you. And that's all I can say out there, is that you'll always have that group of people who will have your back, and you won't lose that. So I think always stick by that. And word of mouth is great as well, And
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
and you don't always need the tech for that. It is the
no,
like
no,
I've been wearing my gorgeous lamb's wool coat, who by the way, my 14-year-old niece said to me coming out of my mother's anniversary mass the last day, "Are you like an Arctic explorer or something?" Because I was inappropriately wearing a lamb's wool coat on a day like today. Are you like an Arctic explorer or something? But I like any, and I'm wearing your waistcoat today.
I
Um,
know. It looks cool on you. I love it with
honestly,
the red.
yeah, I wasn't. I was like, why wouldn't I put it over a jumper?
Yeah, I think red is
Um,
your color, but
it is, yeah. I love my reds. But it's that like it's like you're wearing it and you go, oh my God, yeah, I got that like in pre-loved and Shane Joe, yeah, yeah, online. Look at her Sunday's
yeah.
drop and all of that. That it is like there's so much pride, when you have something that you share with
Well,
the person. But it's you as well. Like you're
but
and
even like when people bought a nurse bought something off me the other day, and she was like, I just love that I have a piece of Mary's clothes, and I can tell people about Mary. Like
it's
that, the
legacy at
stories.
its best. It's
Uh,
legacy.
yeah, and her story and her clothes will live on for another life, and people will remember her. And that's all I want. That's all I want from my shop, is that clothes are more than just material. They
Yeah.
are made to be loved and lived in. Simple as that. Like,
It's so beautiful. You are, your legacy is going to live on as well, and what you've done. Like you're the conduit to bring that story together, and
yeah.
how important you are. It is, I'm going to share all Kat's links in the bio here that you can follow her. And particularly when she does do those drops and she's feeling well and she's at your best, there's just some gorgeous pieces. And I always like, if I don't catch the stories, I'm like, I've probably missed that one anyway. Um, but Kat, you're an absolute breath of fresh air, I will
Oh no,
say.
thank you so
And
much.
like, I think your longevity, why you have lasted from 2016 when you started your page to where you are now, is because you're sound.
Thank you.
And and as much as you people shout out you, you shout out so many people, and you have done for my business as well, which has been hugely powerful because of your community. Or I suppose there's similarities there of just like sound women who were from born in the 70s and 80s,
Supporting each
just
other.
get it. Yeah, I think it's that's women
So
supporting
important.
women.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Power,
really is
powerful.
really, really, really powerful. So, anything else on any other plans that you want to tell people about that you're working towards
Um,
before we finish up?
I'm trying to do a few markets now and again, not the ones in Dublin, but are just kind of more community ones. And I think I'm doing one in Kildare at the start of June. I can't remember the details because, of course, it's my brain, you know. But
You'll have it on your page. You'll have it on your
yeah, I'll be
page.
sure to share it and just to yeah, you know, to get
And
it in there. But it's good to be when you're self-employed, you know yourself, it can be lonely, you know.
oh,
Like,
and it's the people that keep you going. Yeah.
you know.
You'll be
So
talking to the mannequin, I'm
yeah,
sure, or
talking to you.
dancing, dancing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Kat, thank you so much. I'm gonna
Thank
shortly
you.
stop the recording, but I really, really
Mwah.
appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed that episode. It's a bit of crack, and Kat is just an amazing person. So, for those of you that know Kat and perhaps don't know me, I am a transition coach and I work with people who are in a place of stuckness, both in their life and or career. And I help them to come back to themselves, remember how well resourced they are and how incredible they are to allow them to thrive again in their lives. Please also give me a follow on Instagram. Beyond the Norm is on the podcast, and me, I'm Norma O'Kelly, systemic coach on Instagram, Norma O'Kelly on LinkedIn. I'll attach all my links in the show notes as well. I run retreats at least 5-6 times a year, and if you go to my link in my bio on Instagram or in LinkedIn, you will see a waitlist for my autumn retreats in 2025. Also, I am about to launch an accelerator, and that is for other coaches like myself, other wellness practitioners that have a business or are launching a new business and need that support and helping hand. I've 22 years experience in marketing before I ever became a coach, and I combine both my coaching and my marketing mentorship to help support you to really thrive and be authentic and real, just like Kat is. Look at her authenticity and how that has brought her to all these places about being real. I think social media, when it began, it was all about, this fake lens, where it's a lot more real and down to earth. And I'm here to help you come back into that place and find your ideal clients. And that is launching this week. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks for listening to Kat. Make sure you check out in particular her clothes shop, Pre-Loved by Shay and Joe, and the link again is here in the bio notes. You're an absolutely deadly listeners. I am so grateful for each and every one of you, whether you're new, whether you're a long time listener. It's people like you that tell me that you love the podcast, that I keep going on this as a pursuit that I absolutely love. I love this podcast, and it's the thing that often gets neglected. So it's been really great to have these amazing guests these last few weeks and share their own transition story and what they're up to now. So thanks so much for listening. Go gently and have a great summer. Take care.